We've reached new all-time highs, and now I'm expecting Bitcoin to hit a price target of $153,000 and Ethereum to reach $6,400. Why and how? We'll get into that in just a moment. The dollar is losing more and more strength. Gold keeps setting new all-time highs, and for the very first time, it was over $4,000 per ounce, which is absolutely crazy. And the S&P 500 is also setting one all-time high after another. What's happening right now is incredibly interesting because the dollar is losing strength, and as a result, money is being reallocated. Money is being invested elsewhere, in gold, in stocks, in the crypto market. Normally though, it's more the case that gold performs when stocks don't perform. Because gold usually performs better when there's uncertainty. Right now, gold is still performing insanely well. Stocks are also performing insanely well. And now, money is slowly being shifted into Bitcoin. Because gold has generated the most returns so far. People know this. Accordingly, money is now slowly being shifted into Bitcoin. And compared to gold, Bitcoin is still almost 10 times smaller. So there is still plenty of money that could flow into Bitcoin. I just told you my price targets, and I really mean it. In my opinion, the next major resistance zones are at the $134,000 mark, then the $146,000 mark, and then the $152,000 mark. And I believe these are the next price targets for the coming weeks. I think we will reach those levels and work through these price targets. However, these price targets become invalid if we fall below $109,000 here. As long as we don't fall below this level, we will work through these price targets step by step. That's my price forecast, and I know it makes me vulnerable. But I don't mind doing it, or rather, I dare to make myself vulnerable because I'm simply convinced by the chart analysis. And that's the thing, in my opinion, we're currently in a really nice uptrend, and I think it can continue. And what's important, especially in a market phase like this, is that many people still have this bear market mindset. Like, oh no, it has to correct soon. We can't possibly be climbing to a new high right now. But if we look at the RSI on a weekly basis, we can see that we're nowhere near being truly overheated. At times during the bull run, we were way more overheated in dollar terms. Same here. Last year in March, we were much more overheated in dollar terms. And it was the same in December 2024. So, looking at the RSI, the market sentiment, and the overall mood, you can see that things could still go significantly higher from here. There's still plenty of room to the upside. But of course, when I talk about these price targets, I'm referring to the next few weeks or months. This isn't going to happen next week or the week after. But overall, I'm very bullish right now because the chart looks extremely optimistic. It's the same with Ethereum. With Ethereum, we're first aiming for the old all-time high of 4,800. After that, the price target of 5,400 becomes interesting. And then, in the bigger picture, $6,400. These are the next price targets we'll see for Ethereum. We will work through these targets step by step, as long as we don't fall below $4,100 here. If we do fall below this level, then the upward trend is broken and we could go even lower. In that case, these price targets would no longer be valid and wouldn't be of interest to us anymore. But I'm also extremely optimistic about Ethereum. Because, just look at how heavily Ethereum has been accumulated in recent weeks, especially by the whales. You can see very clearly that people are buying Ethereum, sending it off the exchanges and holding it. And these are on-chain data, which are extremely positive. The iShares Bitcoin ETF from BlackRock is the most successful ETF we've ever had. And what's really interesting here is simply this fact. It's the most profitable ETF that BlackRock currently offers. The Bitcoin ETF has generated the most revenue. And then someone should try to explain to me that BlackRock and company won't continue to push this crypto market. They benefit enormously from the crypto market. It's the best performing ETF, the ETF that brings in the most money for them. Of course, they will continue to advance the crypto market. Of course, they will keep pushing it because that's how they'll keep making more money. So these are really figures or background data that you should pay attention to. They're truly incredible. But for me, this clearly means it's only logical that BlackRock and company will continue to fuel this crypto market because the bigger it gets, the more euphoric the whole thing becomes, the more retail investors will come in the future, the higher we climb, the more money the big players will make from it, because they only earn when Bitcoin is being traded. Other data also currently shows that the big money is buying in excessively. The big money, the smart money, the whales are really buying in heavily, even at these high prices. And that's also the reason why I say it could really head toward $136,000 because the big players keep accumulating. If they continue to accumulate, it's certain that we will climb even higher. These are definitely extremely important data points. Additionally, we could see a Solana ETF this week because the deadline ends this week. It will be exciting to see what happens if we actually get approval for the Solana ETF this week. That in particular could really give the altcoin sector another big boost. And that's why we're going to take a look at a few Bitcoins that I currently have on my radar. Projects that we usually talk about as well, where you might still be able to buy in right now. Because, especially now, as we've gone up a bit, I keep seeing the question, where can you still buy in? Because we're slowly seeing liquidity coming into the market. Some Bitcoins are even performing really well, others not as much. Overall though, not much has happened yet with most Bitcoins. Most of the focus is still on Bitcoin and Ethereum at the moment. But BNB in particular has really surged, you have to say. But with most Bitcoins, not all that much has happened yet. That's why you can still invest in certain Bitcoins now with a certain structure. For example, let's take a look at Bitensor now. Why do I find Bitensor interesting? Bitensor is the largest AI project we have on the market, and so far also the best. Nvidia is now by far the largest company we have, period. So the entire economy is moving towards AI. Everything, Microsoft, Apple, even Amazon, all these companies are also going completely in the AI direction. But with Nvidia, it becomes even more obvious because Nvidia is really going exclusively in the AI direction with their graphics cards and processors. Something like this will probably also push the AI narrative in the crypto market. That's why I already find Bitensor interesting. But what you also have to say is that Bitensor is an infrastructure project. Projects and subnets are being built on Bitensor, and by now we have a huge number of small AI projects that are building on Bitensor. Over 129 of them, so it's really crazy what kind of infrastructure Bitensor is actually creating. And what I really like here is that in 60 days we'll have the first Tau halving, and I think that could have another market impact because it will significantly reduce inflation, which could definitely benefit the coin. Here with Bitensor. Does that look like it to me? So to me it looks like we've basically been in a downtrend the whole time. You just have to say it, we've been in a downtrend all along. This downtrend also hasn't been broken yet. From a longer term perspective, we're still in a downtrend here. This downtrend will only be broken if we break above this level. If we break above here, then we've cracked this downtrend because this is the last lower high and we have to break through that first. Then the uptrend will be confirmed. But I tend to think that we won't make a new high here. I think we'll continue the breakout here. Because, we just have a good support zone here. We didn't break through it last time either. So why should we break it this time? This is where I would enter and my stop loss would be at $310. If we were to fall below here again, that would rather suggest that we're going even lower. If that doesn't happen, we're heading towards $1,000 and more. That's my firm prediction. We shouldn't fall below this level again. As long as that doesn't happen, we're going up. That means at the current moment I have, just today, I actually added a bit more, but I also placed another limit order in this area in case we drop lower again. In that range, I would accumulate more as well, around $130 to $140. I have a few more orders set in that area because we have a big candle here, so the probability is quite high that we'll pick up that liquidity again. That's why I set another limit order at $134. But overall, I believe in the chart and I believe that this was the breakout here. Here we already have a higher high and here a higher low. Accordingly, I believe that it will now rise steadily over time. For Bitensor, I believe that in this cycle we will reach at least $2,700. That is our price target according to Elliott wave analysis. And from here, that would still be an 8 times, which would definitely be nice. So I will definitely stay on top of this. That's also the reason why I accumulated again now. Solana also remains interesting. Here, we've simply been in an uptrend here since April, steadily rising bit by bit, which is very, very good. You can enter here. We have an overarching price target of $800, which we expect to reach at least in this cycle. However, we must not fall below $189. If we do fall below that, it would indicate a downtrend and we would go even lower. As long as that doesn't happen, you can potentially buy in this zone where we are currently. It's a relatively safe project, but for that reason, it doesn't yield as much return anymore. But even Solana is still a really interesting project these days. And then you really wanted an Astar analysis. Astar has just completely taken off. Astar is simply way too new for any meaningful chart analysis. However, Astar will still perform if the market continues to perform, and accordingly, we must not fall below this level right now. Otherwise, we'll also be in a downtrend. As long as that doesn't happen, we'll continue to rise bit by bit. At the moment, you could accumulate here, and it will get really interesting if we break the last all-time high, but right now, it's not all that interesting. I'd rather take a look at Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid is doing exactly the same thing, is also extremely successful, and here too we've been in an uptrend the whole time. And we're still currently in an uptrend. Here, we just must not fall below this level. As long as that doesn't happen, that's good. In the medium term, we must not fall below this level. It will also get interesting here if we break the previous all-time high. But with Hyperliquid, you also have to say that it's now highly valued. Still, I tend to think that in this cycle, we could see at least $200 for Hyperliquid. And that's for the following reasons. Because Hyperliquid really generates a hell of a lot of revenue. At times, the project earns several million in a single day just from fees, which is crazy. It's really one of the few crypto projects that actually has a real use case. And they're completely active in the DeFi sector, so everyone who wants to trade in a decentralized way nowadays either uses Aster or Hyperliquid. And especially this DeFi sector, this DeFi trading, becomes even more interesting during an extended bull run. That means with both projects, I still see massive potential at the moment. And then we also have an XRP chart analysis here, because some people requested it. Here, we've been in for quite some time now. Downtrend, but you have to say that we've found support here 3 times. That means we're in a downtrend, but we've found good support. This matches exactly with this chart analysis. From here, we should potentially see a breakout, and that could then go up sharply. It gets really interesting if we break the last all-time high, but according to the chart analysis, we've had such good support here that it suggests we might first experience an uptrend now in this cycle. I don't know what to expect there. Chart analysis is just a bit difficult with this project, but XRP will certainly still reach $6 to $7. But it could go significantly higher than that. But we would reassess that at that point. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe, and see you next time, friends. Ciao.